But we are going to talk about some Cruton because Mizzou did have a big weekend. Mizzou did have a big weekend. I had a lot of official visits, some 3-stars, some 4-stars, some guys make their way to campus and make their way to Columbia. You know, basketball had their team in, so everyone kind of making their way onto campus. As I pull up. So the first guy I want to talk about is Evan Goodman. Evan, you know, they missed the Titan Davis is defensive lineman. I think I said last week at some point that he was an offensive lineman. I know he's a defensive lineman, guys. They obviously missed on Cantwell. Evan Goodwin's next on their board. He's a 4-star. He's 165th overall. He's the number 2 in Arkansas. He's from, I'm not even going to pretend I know how to pronounce that. He came to Mizzou. This is the 4th visit he's had to Mizzou since last year. If you follow any of this kind of stuff, he's interested. He talked to PowerMizzou.com. They set up meetings with the business and AG business departments and talk major to classes. Like, he's already pretty familiar with Missouri as a football program, but maybe not the school as much. So this visit apparently was more about that side, like the schooling. Because I know, despite the fact that, look, a lot of how much I know there was a fake CBS Sports tweet about it, but how much longer is the SEC going to deal with the NCAA? Who knows? But this still is tied to a school. I'm with that kind of thing. I'm an accelerationist. Like, the stuff that we're going through right now sucks, and we'll talk about some of the playoff formatting stuff that Greg Sankey talked about at SEC at his SEC presser. But we'll fly there. But like, this all sucks. Like, can we just get to where we're going, and then I can determine how much I love it? Because I still do love college football. It's my favorite thing on the planet, followed by hockey. Like, I love this sport, but like, can we just get to where we're going? This like in between, like, oh man, it's just awful. You know, Brandon Jones, he hung out with Goodwin. Connor Tolson was his like, I forget what they call it, a player host or whatever. He spent time with Jack Lang, kid from Eureka, that committed to Missouri last year, who also helped. He also hosted, Colson also hosted Noah Best and Braxton Lindsay, who was another Arkansas kid. Goodwin, big boy, 6'7", 325 pounds. He did mention to Power Mizzou, which I found this interesting. That's why I took a note on it, that he thought about committing to Mizzou that weekend. He's like, I thought about it. But he's going to stay the course on his recruiting. The other teams involved in his recruiting heavily, apparently, are Oklahoma State, SMU, and Mississippi State. They will all get summer trips. You know, obviously, he still has another year of football, so other teams can get in the mix. You know, you got to always be wary of that. But, man, like, if that's your competition, like, you need to win that. Like, God bless Oklahoma State. Yeah, you need to win that. I'm sorry. You know, he talked to 247 Sports, not just Power Mizzou, but he talked to 247. That he said he's made it, like, Mizzou made a huge jump. The visit went great. You know, he's been on campus 3 times previous. Evan Goodman kind of is now their big rock, their big piece. He also has visits to Notre Dame. I don't know why Notre Dame wasn't on the one report I read. I took notes and then didn't realize I also wrote down Notre Dame. He's an elite height, elite strength. I'm just reading some of the scouting reports. They think he's going to be more of a right tackle than a left tackle, which is fine. You know, offensive line recruiting is so big. I like to talk about it because you have to develop those guys in-house. You just have to. It is going to be as teams get better about figuring out how to spend their money. You see it now with all sports. In the NFL for a long time, teams were like, well, the Patriots never really had a great running back. The Chiefs have never really spent big money on running backs. The Eagles, not this past year, but when they won it with Nick Foles, I think we're running out like Jay Ajayi and two other, who else? Corey Coleman, shout out to Oregon. Like, they were not running out like a stud running back. It really was until this year. When the Rams won, it wasn't Todd Gurley. So you saw like teams, they weren't paying running backs. Like, they were just like, well, we could find a running back. It's more about our scheme and more about our situation. And then this year, the Eagles won with Saquon Barkley, and maybe teams will start paying more for running backs. You see it in hockey. You see it in any sport where there's a salary cap, which there is no salary cap, but like in baseball, like teams can only spend so much money. Not everybody has every dollar available to them in the universe. So I think it'll be as teams figure out like, okay, this is what we can spend our money on. Like, this is our budget for wide receivers. This is our budget for tackles. This is our budget for middle linebackers. I think as that comes more into play, especially when the house settlement comes and we figure out kind of how much money all these teams can spend, offensive line is going to be the biggest thing. You have to pay your offensive linemen, and the only way you're going to bring them in is through recruiting, because teams will also know they need to pay their offensive linemen, and they can't like just go poach them from other schools. Another highly rated kid that was on campus was Mason James, 180th ranked player in the country, 4-star wide receiver. Anytime Mizzou starts getting in with some high-ranked wide receivers, I like their odds. I think Jacob Peeler's done an incredible job. The Ryan Wingo thing, we didn't have a show back then. He had him, like, by all accounts, like, and this is from what I've read, from what I understood, is he wanted to go to Texas. Mizzou made him an offer that he's like Mizzou. It wasn't like, I guess I got to go to Missouri. It was like, oh, great, I'll stay home. I'll go to Mizzou. Me and Neri at the time. Offense, defense, 5 stars. It's going to be awesome. And then Texas came in really like the night I was going to bed, and it was I think Wilt Fong tweeted like, it looks like it's going to be Missouri. And then at like 7:30 the next morning, Wilt Fong pulled his bold prediction, or pulled his crystal ball. Everyone went, oh no. And then eventually he did. Texas apparently came in with, I think it was even less money than Missouri was offering. And said, hey, like, this is our offer. This is what you wanted to come to Texas. And he took it, and he's at Texas, and he looked really good his freshman year. Can't wait for 2026 when he's in Faroe scoring 3 touchdowns. That's going to be awesome. So, hey, that's one of those things. He wanted to play with Texas. The allure of playing with Arch Manning, probably a little hard for him to pass up. But going back to Mason James, he talked about with PowerMizzou.com that when he came in the fall. He went to the Boston College game. That's not the game. Last year would have had to been a hard year to get like officials, because we just are like have people have fun on officials. Look, Mizzou winning 9 games is great. It's fun. It's awesome. Or not fun. Last year was not fun. It was so frustrating. This year, I can't wait to like it's the years where you have expectations and like they just like Mizzou was good. Like they were a good team. You don't win 9 games accidentally, but like getting killed by Bama, killed by A&M, and then losing to South Carolina the way they did, it just was like, this isn't. And then they weren't killing teams like they should. Like they didn't. And then the Oklahoma game was just so stressful, and it's going to be fun this year. Even like 8-4, like it'll be nice to have a year with no expectations, you know, and not this feeling like, oh God, we got to do it this year. Like, but okay, Mason James, he loved the program. He came in, he enjoyed the time. He enjoyed it way more than his previous times on campus.